In Pakistan, while trucks needing repairs are common, those capable of executing such repairs to a high standard are not so abundant. Take the rear axle of this truck as an example. It has already been repaired once before, and now, there is a noticeable large crack. In such cases, immediate welding is not possible. Before the repair, the master will first clean the axle tubes on both sides with diesel to prepare for subsequent inspection work. After cleaning, the master will fix it onto a specialized rolling support, securing it firmly. Once secured, the entire rear axle can be easily rolled. Originally, the master intended to proceed with welding directly. However, seeing that additional welding has already been done, and yet, a thick steel plate has still cracked like this, simple welding won't suffice. Now, the master needs to use flame cutting to remove the reinforced steel plate. Subsequently, a slightly longer steel plate will be used for reinforcement. Although flame cutting is faster than using an angle grinder, it's not easy to control. If mishandled, it may end up making the structure even more robust or even burn through the rear axle. However, the master's control over the current is just right. After the steel plate is cut, the rear axle remains intact. But welding the weld seam immediately is still not possible. The edges of the weld seam need to be beveled using flame cutting. This not only facilitates subsequent jointing but also ensures stronger welding. Of course, with such a thick rear axle, using manual methods definitely won't restore it to its original position. Therefore, the master now needs to use a flatbed truck to tow it indoors and place it on the hydraulic press's work table. The plan is to leverage the powerful pressure of the hydraulic press to push the deformed parts back into place. As the hydraulic press starts, the crack visibly closes at a rapid pace. Next, the welding of the weld seam can commence. With the sizzling sound, the welding work officially begins. The welding rod moves slowly along the weld seam, and the melted metal flows like a meandering stream, gradually filling and merging the crack. As time passes, the welding seam is gradually conquered by the power of welding, and the smoke from welding rises, spreading a unique odor in the air. The master occasionally stops to knock off the slag to inspect the welding quality, ensuring there are no flaws or omissions. The entire welding process is a blend of skill and strength, showcasing the master's superb welding skills. Once both sides of the weld seam are welded firmly, the master meticulously picks up a sliding gauge to carefully check for any movement in the axle tubes. The gauge glides over the axle tube without any noticeable movement. Everything appears perfect, but the task isn't complete yet. Because it's inconvenient to perform further welding reinforcement work on the hydraulic press, the master makes a decisive decision to remove the rear axle. Then, with great care, it's placed back onto the specialized rolling support used earlier. Once secured, the master immediately proceeds to weld the incomplete weld seams without pause. He doesn't rush when addressing the cracks on the top either. First, he skillfully bevels the edges and then meticulously fills them in. After a round of precise and accurate welding operations, every weld point now looks seamless, resembling a fine piece of artwork. However, this is far from being complete. There's still the work of reinforcing the steel plate. Before this, the master picks up an angle grinder to swiftly grind the rough areas smooth. The rapid whirring of the angle grinder sounds like the stirring drums of a battlefield, inspiring determination. After smoothing the surface, the master takes a measuring tape and carefully measures the required length. Then, he focuses entirely on marking the steel plate meticulously according to the measured dimensions. Next, the master picks up cutting tools, and with flames shooting out, he cuts decisively along the marked lines. With his expert skills, a perfectly sized steel plate emerges. However, this steel plate cannot be immediately put to use. It also has a certain curvature due to the thickness. So, the master carefully marks the parts that need shaping. Then, he picks up a hammer. With powerful strikes, the master shapes the steel plate piece by piece, molding it into the required curvature. Once the desired curvature is achieved, it can be installed back onto the rear axle and welded. To ensure the steel plate fits snugly on the rear axle, the master first welds one end of the steel plate securely. Then, he swiftly picks up a lever for assistance. With the lever's help, the steel plate slowly moves closer to the rear axle. However, this isn't enough. The master also picks up a hammer, continuously tapping and adjusting the position until the steel plate fits perfectly on the rear axle. This process may seem challenging, but the master never backs down, persistently working until it's back in place. Moreover, the welding work can only be done in sections, with each segment requiring the same method. Under the master's meticulous and devoted welding, the weld points now resemble dragon scales, appearing incredibly sturdy and admirable. To achieve perfection, the master picks up the grinding tool once again, smoothing out every welding mark until they're seamless. Through the master's efforts, the rear axle is finally repaired. It's a perfect restoration, showcasing the master's skill and embodying the spirit of craftsmanship. The service provided here is exceptionally considerate. After the repair is completed, they even use their own van to personally deliver the repaired truck rear axle to the owner. This isn't just about being responsible to the owner. It's a demonstration of their passion and dedication to their work. They epitomize professionalism, dedication, and genuine commitment to their customers. They are true craftsmen, deserving of respect.